I I just watched the documentary Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell on Netflix, and wow, that was great. Every time documentaries like this come out, it's like it's always amazes me how much footage they have of these people that I just never knew existed. You know, you're fans of these people, you're huge fans of their music for years, decades, and like this documentary has all this footage of like him and his entourage are like they have a video camera at every hotel of every place they're touring. How come I never saw any of this stuff? And everything that the documentary showed me made me realize just how reasonable a person Biggie was, just how, level-minded he was. He was like, I thought he was the most killer. Like, maybe I just got his impressions from his music, but I realized there's like a million Tupac documentaries, and this is the first Biggie documentary I've seen. And I'm not talking about the live action version. I haven't even seen either. Fuck those. But I'm talking about this. Like, Biggie grew up just in Brooklyn. Like, he was like, his whole life was around like 4 blocks. His whole crew, everything. It was like trapping and rapping. While they're on the corner trapping, they're rapping. Like, it's like, and he was writing rhymes since he was a kid. It's like that book, The Outliers. It goes to show that sometimes you think people just make it like out of thin air, but in reality, you find when you watch this documentary, you realize, Biggie's mom is Jamaican. He was going to Jamaica constantly, and he was getting access to new music, and his uncle was a musician. He was always around that scene. Back in Brooklyn, he had a jazz musician that was up the street that was really trying to look out for them. Like, he was so talented and he was so visible that like everyone would try to kind of like get him off the streets a little bit or encourage him to like, rap more type shit. Like that you getting exposed to that for years and having the actual benefit of being able to converse and speak and learn from a seasoned jazz musician is huge. As a musician, when you watch this, when you just hear his music, for some reason, for rappers, and maybe this is just just me, but sometimes something about the genre of rap, you assume people are stupid by default. And then it's almost like you're surprised at their intellect and you're surprised at their resolve, to use an anime word, when you watch and you're like, and you realize, oh, that's just a prejudice I hold. It's like, even though hip hop and rap is some of my favorite genres, some of my favorite people, Tupac, that's why I got the Tupac Biggie right there to begin with. You realize these people are smart people, and it's like Jay-Z, for example, like you can't be stupid and get to a certain level. With Biggie's a little different because Puff really facilitated the whole thing. He was just hustling, trying to make it, looking for talent that he could, I don't want to say subjugate, but he could like leech off of and curate and direct in the right direction to make it a lucrative thing. But it's amazing when you watch these. Biggie was just so himself. It comes back to the Biggie versus Tupac thing. I grew up, when I moved to Canada when I was 6 years old, I grew up in a subsidized neighborhood, right? And subsidized neighborhood, I moved in 97. Tupac died in 96. Biggie died in 97. So all of these neighborhoods, it was like an anthem. They're constantly playing Tupac, Biggie, mostly Tupac, because for me, not only was my older brother always playing Tupac, but Tupac has a fear of God constantly. That fear of God, fear of the Lord. You know what I mean? Lord will strike me down. Have mercy on me when I see you in heaven. All that type of stuff. That theme was so consistent throughout his music. And that like jived well with the strict Muslim upbringing that I was in the midst of. It's like I was constantly being told to fear God and what people will think of you, that type of stuff. And Tupac's music kind of reinforced that, right? Whereas Biggie's music was pure gangster, kick in the door, right? With the 4-4. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing if my burglar alarm starts ringing. Like, Ready to Die, that album, and I asked myself, if I had to choose one, would it be Ready to Die or Me Against the World? Tupac's album. Because once you get to All Eyes on Me and Life After Death, there's already a decent amount of commercial success driving the momentum of both of those. But just like a body of work, I love to compare Me Against the World with Ready to Die. There's so much angst in that Ready to Die, but there's something about Tupac just seems so much more three-dimensional, and like both of their demises are interesting to me. Like Tupac got wrapped up with Suge Knight, who's a motherfucking maniac that is gonna lead to death of 50% of the people that just come to the vicinity of him. You know what I mean? That guy's a dark cloud, and he's like Don King level shit. Like you don't want to be involved. He's a killer, ruthless. Whereas Puff is like ruthless, trying to make money. He had a producer mindset. So Puff was chasing success, whereas Tupac got wrapped up in that whole death row thing. Like, so there's pride involved with it. And Tupac had such a military mindset. He was so militant because his family all was like Black Panthers, single mom, Black Panther vibe. And they were both, Biggie and Tupac, both single moms. But that, I think Tupac's lineage is a lot more like politically involved. So he kind of took that whole thing on, and he was just championing these beefs. Like, have you ever seen that MGM Grand video? And what's crazy is we were just watching this the other day. I never noticed that MGM Grand video is 6 days before he dies, and he's still in Vegas. So it has to be tied. And it's funny how like the murder's not solved, but it's like based on what I see online, it was an existing beef with some guy named Orlando, I think, or O, and Suge Knight. And it was the Tyson fight. So they're all, if you've ever been with people that are ready to watch an MMA fight or a boxing fight, or just finished watching one, you know anything could pop off. There's so much adrenaline and testosterone in the air that you could see it in that MGM Grand video. And if you haven't, paused this video, go to YouTube, type in MGM Grand Tupac security footage. Tupac runs up to this dude, smashes him, and then his whole crew, Suge Knight is in a big white fucking suit with a white hat, like looking like a pimp, like out of a storybook. And his whole crew just starts stomping this guy. And then they go to exit the casino, which, by the way, is the longest exit scene I've ever seen. And it looks like a movie. It looks like a biblical scene. Like Tupac had to go out like a messiah. He was loud, so ambitious. He had the arrogance and pride that was gonna lead to his downfall. It was like nobody in history that with that Tupac's attitude lives long. You know, it's a candle that burns hot and like bright and dies quick. You know, that was Tupac. Whereas Biggie, who was also gunned down in not also because Tupac died in in Vegas. Biggie got gunned down in LA when he was just there to visit. I'm going back to Cali. How many people have been gunned down in LA, man? With Biggie's, it's a little bit more mysterious. Tupac, jumped the guy 6 days before his death while still being in Vegas, and it was a beef that Suge was involved with, and it was Suge's beef that Tupac was trying to be the... When you watch that video of the MGM, you see everyone following him out, and you see the comments in the video. Man, Tupac was such a general. He was a born leader. You could see that shit. It's like the lore of people lasts way longer than they ever will. You know what I mean? You're either like that crazy nigga that people talk about, and you die quick, or you chill back and you tell the story and you were there, but you were chill, you know? Biggie, I don't know if he died as a result of Tupac because it was 6 months. Tupac died in, it was like September 13th of 96, and Biggie died in like March 13th or March 10th of 97. Like 6 months passed. And you gotta wonder, that has to be involved. Some people say Suge Knight was involved, but it's like, what was he not involved with? You know? But now I'm wondering what about their legacies, right? Because I think if they continued to live, Tupac would have gone on, would have done more of like a, you know how Common, the rapper Common, stayed kind of like, he didn't follow the marketability of rap fully, you know? He stayed kind of true to himself, we'll say niche, whatever it is, and became kind of like more focused on political change, social movement, etc. I think Tupac would have done that more on a grand scale, you know, like a little bit of a Jay-Z thing, not as much of a mogul in real estate and business, but more so in like social movement. Tupac would have been the type of dude to like, actually, run for like mayor or not mayor, but like governor and try to get into politics and maybe succeed, Whereas Biggie, when you watch these videos, you realize, Biggie was going to die in 10 years. If a bullet didn't kill Biggie, that nigga was going to be dead in 10 years, yo. You listen to him. His nose is always plugged. He's got the deviated septum. He's got health conditions up the wazoo. He looks like he's about to sleep any second. He's like, that my mom, bro. This nigga was probably diabetic from the age, born diabetic. You know what I mean? Like, this nigga was gonna die, okay? This nigga was not gonna live long. It's like a Patrice O'Neal of rap. Like, it's like I could get on a treadmill, but I don't give a fuck that much. Like, all his music, what's it called? What's the fucking track? It's like, who the fuck is this? No, that's Warning again. It's the fucking Suicide one. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name, but it's like one of my favorite tracks off Ready to Die. I'm sick of people lying. I'm sick of niggas dying. I'm sick of talking. Hey, yo, Pig! Puff loves those fucking ad-libs. Oh, dude, he loves it. But Biggie was sick of life, whereas Tupac had a duality of like fully embracing and celebrating life, but acting in the most opposite way. You know what I mean? Like, you see him in his videos fucking sticking his whole body out the front. Oh, yo, fuck. Like, I was telling my boys, because Tupac championed, see, this is the immigrant section. And if I champion immigrant stuff and I'm handed a scenario where I could do an immigrant thing or not, I feel like I have a brand responsibility almost, and I'm speaking loosely here, to go on the immigrant side. As soon as Tupac proclaimed thug life, shirt off, now he had to handle every scenario in a thug life style way. And this was going to end in death, one way or another. He fucking stomped that dude. They shot him down. 4 bullets to the chest. 6 days later. And mind you, he lasted 6 days in the hospital, alive, with that many bullets in his chest, which is, he's a fighter. Mind you, he was also 25 or 26 at the peak of his health. But it's wild to think both of them died so young and like achieved so much. And it's like, it's funny because till this day, I'll be driving. Their music has transcended. They're both become icons, and their music has transcended what they even originally wanted to depict off of it. Because I've been listening to the album Me Against the World, and that track specifically, Me Against the World, on that album for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, since like over 20 years. And it's always meant to me, like that final verse on it goes, the message I stress. Fuck, I keep blanking on it just because I'm on video. I'll fucking blank. But the message I stress, don't settle for less. Even a genius asks questions. Be grateful for blessings. Don't ever change. Keep your essence. The power is in the people and politics we address. Always do your best. Don't let this pressure make you panic. And when you get stranded and things don't go the way you planned it, dreaming of riches, in a position of making a difference. Politicians and hypocrites, they don't want to listen. Like, I've been listening to that for so long, and like, make it, excuse the blanking on it there for a second, but for so long. And the other day I was still driving and going around. I'm like, man, this nigga is young, died younger than me. I am older than this guy. Like, just like getting inspired by these lyrics. As if Tupac was alive now, I'd just be like, yo, Tupac, like, I don't want to do engineering anymore. What should I do with my life? Tupac would be like, gotta read, consume everything, read The Art of War. You know what I mean? Mind of a general. Like, he was talking, that one interview, he was talking about what he was reading, and like, it's all militaristic shit. You know what I mean? Like, this nigga was militant as fuck. He was gonna end the same way Malcolm X. He was gonna end the same way as Nipsey Hussle. Wasn't that? That was just a fucking stupid shit. That nigga wasn't that militant at all. But like, it doesn't matter. If you're gonna make a change, you're gonna die either way. Look at Dr. King. That nigga was the furthest thing from militant and still got hit. But still, I mean, I wanted to talk about that. And this picture here is the best depiction of that 90s rap scene. It's so funny because when they tried to kill Tupac, in the documentary, you see Biggie's in an interview. They're saying that you're involved with it. Biggie? Is that?" She's like, "No. Like, why would I do that? I have no involvement with that. I'm on this coast just trying to live. I still sell crack, and we're trying to, and my fucking Reddit die is bumping. You know what I mean? Like before I tour it. So it's like, no, I have nothing to do with that." He put it a great way. He's like, the phone game when you were a kid, you say something and it goes through 60 people. When it comes back, it's totally different. He's like, that's what happened. That's what happens with these beefs. Media, it's just like this Trump shit now. It's like medias love to create a beef. They love, because people love antagonized, sensationalized stuff. They don't want to see like happy stuff, like these two states deciding to get together versus these two states at war. You're gonna click the at war thing first. It's human nature, And I feel like it's been the cornerstone of news and press for centuries, if not decades, and especially now. But yeah, that's my little 2 cents on those Tupac and Biggie, Just icons. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this clip from this week's Patreon episode. Join the Patreon, get access to weekly bonus episodes every Friday and behind-the-scenes content. Otherwise, keep enjoying regular episodes dropping every Tuesday. Until next time, peace!